The story kicks off in Spain, where due to the overpopulation there was a scarcity of food, water, and other resources, leading to widespread unrest across the country and the military overthrowing the government to take control. To address this issue, the military was actively trying to control the population by eliminating elderly people, children, and pregnant women to reduce the numbers. In the midst of this crisis, we see Mia and her husband Nico, who are attempting to escape the country through an agent because Mia is also pregnant. The agent plans to smuggle them out of the country inside a shipping container, destined for Ireland. However, at the last moment, the agent demands more money from Nico as the risks on the journey have increased significantly. Nico, left with no choice and no extra money, is forced to give the agent Mia's engagement ring. Afterward, they are loaded into a truck with a container filled with goods, along with many others who are also fleeing the country, most of whom are women and children. Mia and Nico also had a daughter who was caught and killed by the military, which deeply saddens Mia. However, Nico consoles her by telling her that it was not her fault. Then Nico pulls out a Snickers bar and tells Mia that they'll enjoy it once they reach their destination safely. After a while on the journey, the truck abruptly stops, frightening everyone inside. When the gate opens, a horde of people rush inside of the container, creating chaos, and as a result, pregnant Mia falls due to the shove. Nico attempts to help her, but due to the overloading of the people in the container, the agent's men start removing some of the people to transport them to a different container. In the midst of the pushing and shoving, Nico is pushed out, separating him from Mia. He tries to get back inside but is punched by one of the agent's men and the container door is slammed shut. Mia peers through a hole in the container and sees Nico being sent off in container number 107. After reaching inside, Nico calls Mia, reassuring her that they are headed to the same location and that they will reunite once they reach the port. He advises Mia not to trust anyone and emphasizes the importance of taking care of herself and their unborn child. Afterward, Mia observes through the hole that the situation in the country is dire, and pregnant women are being subjected to violence and are confined in cages. After a few hours, the truck is stopped at a checkpoint, and military officers inspect the container. At first, they don't find anyone inside because all the women have hidden in the partitioned section of the container. However, the senior military officer from the outside notices that the container seems unusually long, raising suspicions that someone might be inside. He instructs his men to shoot through the container, and upon firing, an infant starts crying, revealing their presence. The senior officer warns them that if they come out quietly before he counts to 3, they won't be harmed, but if they don't, they will shoot them through the container. Terrified, one woman opens the door. However, the officer orders to shoot everyone, and all the women and children are mercilessly gunned down within seconds. Mia is the only one who survives because she had hidden herself above a box inside the container. Witnessing this horrifying scene, Mia is left shaken. After the military leaves, Mia, in a distressed state, leaves Nico a voicemail, urging him to hide himself and stay alive. After that, the truck reaches the port where Mia's container is lifted and loaded onto the ship. Mia repeatedly tries to call Nico, but the call doesn't go through. A few hours during the night in the ocean, a powerful storm strikes the ship. The ship begins to rock violently, causing chaos inside the container. Mia gets injured in the process and starts banging on the container walls for help, but there's no one around. Suddenly, a powerful jolt throws Mia off balance, causing her to lose consciousness. Upon waking up, she realizes that the container is filled with water. She peers through the hole and finds that her container has fallen off the ship and is drifting in the open sea, tossed by uncontrolled waves. Terrified, Mia attempts to call Nico, but water damage has rendered her phone's display useless, making it impossible for her to unlock the phone. She finds another passenger's folding phone inside the container, but it is also locked with a pin, leaving her unable to use it. After that, Mia meticulously explores the remaining boxes within the container, discovering items like LED TVs, earphones, wine bottles, and jackets. While exploring, she suddenly hears screams from the people outside. As she peeks through the hole, her eyes widen in horror as she witnesses container number 107 filled with people slowly sinking into the ocean. It's the same container in which Mia's husband Nico has been sent. Slowly the container sinks into the ocean, but Mia can do nothing but cry and scream. Mia is utterly devastated and contemplates using a cutter to end her life. However, the thought of her unborn child stops her from doing so. Soon after, Mia falls asleep, and upon waking up, she finds herself submerged into the container, struggling to survive. However, it turns out to be merely a bad dream. Mia acts quickly, using items from the container to temporarily seal the holes, slowing down the pace of water entering. Shortly after, she receives a call, and to her astonishment, it's Nico on the line. Hearing his voice fills Mia with joy as she thought he was dead. Nico explains that due to the increasing danger, the driver had dropped them off in the middle of the journey and his phone's battery had also died. Mia shares her predicament, telling him that her container had fallen into the open sea and she was trapped with nothing but water around her. Nico promises that he will find her and urges her not to lose hope before ending the call to conserve the battery. Afterward, Mia eats the remaining food inside the container, and later that night another storm hits the ocean. Amid the chaos, Mia's water breaks. As the turbulence rages on, the container rapidly fills with water, intensifying Mia's pain. She undresses, and after a while within the water-filled container, she gives birth to a healthy baby girl whom she names Noah. Mia somehow endures the entire night, and in the morning when the weather calms down she attempts to breastfeed Noah, but finds herself unable to produce milk. Noah continues to cry in hunger, and Mia holds her close to provide comfort. Later Mia consumes the packed food within the container, and after that, her gaze suddenly lands on a drilling machine and an idea strikes her mind. She attempts to cut openings in the container from the top using the drill, hoping to let in some sunlight and gain a sense of freedom. After creating several holes, exhaustion overwhelms her and she decides to leave the rest of the work for later. In the evening, Mia tries to breastfeed Noah again and fortunately this time her breast releases milk. Noah drinks contentedly, eventually falling asleep peacefully. Mia watches over her daughter, finding solace in the midst of her dire circumstances. The next day, Mia resumes cutting the container and little Noah watches her curiously. Unfortunately after a while, the drill machine stops working. Undeterred Mia continues using a cutter, but its blade also wears out eventually. Mia has grown incredibly weak due to not having eaten properly for 3 days. To alleviate her hunger, she resorts to eating the placenta that came out with the baby. She also doesn't have clean water to drink, and the thirst becomes unbearable, so she licks the moisture gathered on the container's walls to quench her thirst. Due to her extreme weakness Mia experiences hallucinations at night, seeing visions of her deceased daughter Uma and her husband Nico. However, after a good night's sleep, Mia wakes up with renewed determination. She finds rain pouring outside so she places all the tiffin boxes inside the container under the holes, allowing them to collect rainwater so that she and Noah can drink the fresh rainwater. After drinking water, Mia successfully uses a cloth to tear down the upper part of the container. She becomes incredibly happy seeing the sunlight after 4 days. She climbs on top of it and sits there for a while, basking in the sunlight and eventually falling asleep. Upon waking up, she also brings Noah onto the container with her. After disposing of Noah's waste in the ocean, she notices fish gathering to feast on it. Mia attempts to catch the fish using a rod but fails miserably. Just then, she spots a plane passing by. Frantically she descends and smashes the display of a TV inside the container to reflect it on the plane, hoping to draw attention. However, while climbing back up her skin is badly cut by a sharp edge of the container. Despite her injuries, she climbs back up and tries to signal the plane through the glass, but her efforts prove futile. Disappointed, she descends and uses a pin to stitch her wounds. After that, her mind clicks with an idea, and she creates a net using the earphone wires that was available in the container to catch the fish. Her plan works, and the next morning she catches plenty of fish, ensuring she have enough to eat. She stores the remaining fish into the tiffin boxes. Now Mia has become an expert in surviving in this environment. She can catch fish, has crafted a DIY bed for herself and Noah, and uses alcohol and cloth to light a fire in a bottle to keep Noah warm during the night. In this way, it's been 12 days since she was stuck in the container. One night while Mia is on top of the container, she receives a call from Nico, flooding her with immense joy. Her phone's display isn't responding properly, but somehow she manages to answer the call. However, her happiness is short-lived as Nico tells her that she has to survive on her own and he cannot come to her rescue. He recounts how he fled on a speedboat only to be spotted by the military who fired at him from a distance, causing him to lose a significant amount of blood. Now he's hiding in a container, counting his last breaths. Hearing this news shatters Mia's heart, and her will to live wanes. Nevertheless, Nico extracts a promise from her that she will do whatever it takes to survive. Amidst tears, Mia shares the news of their daughter, conveying that she has inherited his resilience and is enduring this treacherous situation like a warrior. She lets Nico hear Noah's voice, but soon after, her phone's battery dies. Mia cries bitterly and spends the entire night lying on top of the container, gazing at the moon. Now it's been 26 days since Mia has been stranded in the middle of the ocean. By now, the container has filled up with water up to 90%, forcing Mia to stay on top of it with her baby Noah. Noah relaxes in his makeshift crib while Mia does all the work. Suddenly, a seagull lands on the container and flies away with a piece of meat. Seeing the seagull boosts Mia's spirit as it is considered to be a sign of hope. During the night, due to increased water pressure, a crack forms in the container. When Mia peeks below to check it, she notices a photo of hers floating in the water. She descends to retrieve it, but the imbalance caused by the crack tips the container, and as a result Noah's crib slides into the ocean. Mia tries to climb back up, but her foot gets caught in a rope, and the container slowly sinks into the sea. Struggling, Mia manages to cut the rope and surfaces. However, in the darkness, she can't find Noah and starts screaming for her. Just then a massive whale breaches the surface nearby, showering water around them. Drops from the whale's exhale land on Noah, and she begins to cry. Mia follows the sound of her sobs and successfully locates her. Using the rope, she ties Noah's crib to her wrist and continues floating with her, just like Jack and Rose. She reassures Noah that they've fought with all their might, and whatever happens next is beyond their control. Then the scene shifts to the morning, and we see a motorboat appear on the horizon. It belongs to an Irish family on vacation: Angela, her brother, and their father, who had come for fishing in the sea. Angela notices a flock of seagulls circling a specific area, which strikes her as odd. She asks her father to steer the boat in that direction. Upon reaching the spot, they find a peculiar object floating, and they pull it up, discovering baby Noah sleeping peacefully inside. They are perplexed about how the child ended up in the middle of the sea. Just then, Angela notices a rope tied to the crib, and together they work to pull it up, unveiling Mia unconscious and not breathing. Angela immediately performs CPR, managing to revive Mia. She then hands Noah back to Mia. Angela's father contacts the rescue team, and then guide the boat back to Ireland, saving Mia and Noah from their dire situation. And with this, Mia finally succeeds in surviving and reaches her destination safely. Hit the like button if you think Angela is an angel. See you in the next video. Till then, take care and goodbye.